If you're like me, you're always looking for ways to streamline your outbound calling processes, right? The last thing you want to do is think about who to call and when to call and get caught up in all that. Like, I've got a lot to do all day, and when it's time to sit down and make phone calls, I just want to get into it and start dialing. And I want to keep that process as simple and systematic as possible. And PhoneBurner's got your back here. We're here to help you streamline your outbound calling process. Not only to help you make your calls faster, but if you're using the PhoneBurner CRM, to help you manage your data in PhoneBurner in a way that makes it super simple for you to get in there, get those calls made, and then get on with your day. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to start to really pull some stuff together in the advanced search. If you've been watching along with our training, we've covered all of the advanced search training, all of the advanced search sections here. We've discussed them in detail, all of the options that are available here, so that you can take advantage of it. But what we're going to do now is we're actually going to start pulling this together, and we're going to create a simplified, streamlined, not just buzzwords, by the way, process that we can follow day in and day out to where we never lose track of a single contact. So, right, every time we bring data into the system, we want to make sure that that data gets worked the same way every time. That's the only way you're going to know if you're doing a good job, if your script is good, if your leads are good. The only way you're going to know if any of that stuff, the only way you're going to be able to measure that is if you consistently work them the same way. And so we're going to create that process right now. So in our advanced search, we're going to go to the folder section. Because in my opinion, everything starts with the folder. We put the contacts in the folder, and then we work the contacts from that folder, and they get moved to folders based off of the outcome of the call. And really, they should only get moved from that folder if we connect with them, or if their number, or there's just no way to connect with them. They're completely bad phone numbers. Boom, they're gone. Let's get rid of them, right? So anyway, here we are. Let's say, for example, everything we bring into the system is going to go into our contacts folder. Everybody has a contacts folder in PhoneBurner. You don't have to create one. It's there. You just have to start importing or loading data through the API into that folder. So everything goes in there. The next thing we need to take into account is dial session information. Have we called them before? When was the last time we called them? All that stuff, right? So hopefully you've watched the other trainings where we talked in detail about the dial session section. But in this particular case, as we're building this out, there's only going to be 3 of these options that we really care about. Total calls, total call attempts, and last called. So the first one, total calls equals 0. We want everybody who's never been called yet. That is our call 1. And we hit search. So that's going to give us everybody in our, what is this? Our save search, our process, our contact calling process. Everybody in our contacts folder that has never been called, they need a first phone call. All right, so that is our call number 1. Now let's go back to the advanced search. The next thing we need to do is we need to think through, okay, what do we do after the first phone call? Because we're not going to just call them one time, because most people don't answer the first phone call, right? So we need to reach out to them a few times. And we're going to keep this simple. Again, we want to go to the contacts folder, so everything that's still in our contacts folder is going to be called again. And in the dial session section, total calls, we're not going to do anything with total calls, because if contacts have multiple phone numbers or we call them multiple times on the same phone number, that's going to throw a wrinkle in our process. So we're going to do total call attempts. In this particular case, I'm going to go less than or equal to 10 times. So we're going to make 11 phone calls. So we're going to do the first phone call, and we're going to do 10 more phone calls. The next thing we need to take into account, though, is the last time they were called, because we don't want to call somebody 2 times on one day, at least in this particular example. So I'm going to go to last called, no date range selected, and I'm going to change this from on to before X days ago. And let's say I want to make sure that there's always at least 2 days between calls. So I put 2 in there. So before 2 days ago. That'll be at least 2 days. It'll actually be 3 or more days. So 2 days, hit apply. So now we're looking for any record that's in the contacts folder that's been called less than or equal to 10 times, and it's been at least 2 days since they were last called. This is our call 2 through 11. And we can reuse this over and over and over again, right? Because here we got 77. If I make some calls from this today, in 3 days, we're going to start seeing contacts pop in here again. But if they've been called more than 10 times, they won't pop in here again, right? So we've got a very simple process so far. We've got call 1 and call 2 through 10, or 2 through 11. And the final piece to this, to make sure that everybody knows that we love them and care about them and we want them to know about our product, our service, because we're here to help them in their lives, right? Whatever it is that you're doing, I'm sure it's there to help people be better, right? So let's go to the advanced search. We want to do one more piece here. We're going to go to contacts. Total call attempts, not equals. We're going to do greater than 10. And last called before, let's say 30 days. So after we call them 11 times, we don't call them every 3 days anymore. Now, granted, they might not get called every 3 days anyway, depending on how much data and how quickly you're working through the data and things like that. So there's a good chance they're not getting called every 3 days anyway. And you can adjust that other save search as needed. But in this particular case, once they've been called 11 times, now we're going to put them in our nurture campaign. And they get called once every 30 days, at most once every 30 days. And then they just stay there, right? We just keep reaching out to them, saying, hey, I'm just touching base again, checking in, seeing how you're doing. Is now a good time for us to chat? So now we have 3 saved searches that we monitor, right? So let's go here to manage saved searches and let's pin these. Once we pin them, when we go back to contacts, we'll see them up in the upper left, making it super easy for us to get to them. Now, this is not the only group of contacts that we're going to be working through, right? This is just our prospecting list. And so when we get started here, right, everything starts in call 1, and we just start pushing everything through. We come in here, select all, begin a dial session. We do that dial session, we refresh, we select all, begin a dial session. Now, tomorrow, the ones that we called today are still not going to be in our call 2 through 11, right? Because we need at least 3 days to go by before they show up there. So tomorrow we're still doing call 1s. And then at some point, call 2s will start happening, right? And then we've also got our today's follow-ups. This is a view that shows us all of the people that we've called previously that are in our follow-up folder that have a follow-up date that is due today. Right, so this is a view that we want to look at once or twice or maybe 3 times a day. Right, I come in the morning, I look at today's follow-ups. Who have I spoken to in the past that is due to be called today? And then in the afternoon, I might look at that one more time, just kind of take a little peek. Has this changed, right? Because I might call people in the morning that say, hey, give me a call back later today. And so I'll click on the follow-up button, choose today as the follow-up date, click the follow-up disposition, and boom, they'll show up in today's follow-ups for me to review, right? And then at a minimum, I do it first thing in the morning and then at the end of the day, right? Before I wrap up, I go to today's follow-ups one more time. So that helps me have a streamlined process. Call 1, call 2 through 11, and nurture calls. None of my contacts ever get lost. All I have to do is drop them into my contacts folder, and when I disposition them out of the contacts folder, they're out of that process because I connected with them and I have them in some other process or I'm done with them. So anyway, that is it for our training. For this specific training, I hope this helps you and your team really streamline your process so that you can get more done in less time using the power of PhoneBurner. Thanks again and happy dialing.